Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Bill Phelps, and I'm going to be your student's audio, video technology, and film instructor and broadcast advisor for this semester. First, I wanted to thank everybody for taking a few minutes over the past couple of days to take a look at the survey and answer it and let me know what's the best way to share with you and keep you up to date. Virtually almost 100% of everybody said email was the best way, so I'm going to send this information out via email, but I'm also recording it as well to post up onto our YouTube channel for those that want to see it in video form as well. I've got the email here, and unfortunately today is going to be kind of a long one as I introduce you to the program, my philosophy, and how I'm going to go about I guess what my expectations are and how I'm going to run the program for you. In the future, the emails and the videos are going to be much shorter, only talking about very specific things for that week and important upcoming dates that you should be aware of. So please bear with me and hang with me on this one. Okay? So one of the first things, though, especially for the newer students and the parents, I want to let you know I love what I do. I think I finally figured out what I want to be when I grow up, and this is it right here. I've been here since 2011, November 1st, smack dab in the middle of the semester. This, for me, I get to play all day, every day. I've been a coach I coached baseball up north for about 18 years and love doing that. And I film sports now. And this particular class here allows me to coach the kids on the skills that they're going to need to be successful in college and in their career, as well as let me continue to work in the area that I love, which is video production, event video production, and film. So this is awesome. So I just want to let you know that. I love what I do. I love the kids that come on in, and I hope to share that enthusiasm with them. Next thing, very important, CTLS and Class Notebook. As you know, the county's put together their learning system called CTLS, Cobb Teaching and Learning System, and they've been working through and working very hard at making it more stable, making it more user-friendly, and things like that. However, I am not very good when it comes to organizing paperwork, and I've been using Microsoft Office 365's Class Notebook for the past 5 or 6 years now. And I checked with the county, and I can still go ahead and use that. So that's what I'm going to do. So the Class Notebook, which is what I have a sample of right here, is where I post all the assignments, which is what you'll see here on a weekly basis. I do everything on a week-ending basis, so it's all based on Friday's date. I post everything that we're going to be due, when it's due. Any of the resources and specific assignment information is off to the side over here, and I do that all through Class Notebook. Any non-video assignments are turned in right to this notebook. Every student gets a notebook. I don't know if you can kind of see it over here. Here are my resources for the class and throughout the year. And then each student gets their own notebook. They have visibility to the collaboration, content, and their own notebook, which has their own tabs in there: final projects, class notes, homework, journal, quizzes, and warm-ups. So they can see the collaboration, content, and their own folders here. And that's all they'll need to see. So what I'm going to do is, this is where I'm going to function out of. This is where things are assigned. This is where they're turned into. CTLS, I'll take a screen capture of this chart, and I'll post this up on the class board in CTLS. I'll also use the announcement section in CTLS to list any very specific, very important or urgent dates, things that the kids need to know ASAP. So I'll also be running our daily sessions out of CTLS. And so that's going to be, that's where everything is going to happen. So I know some teachers, or a lot of teachers, are using CTLS entirely. Some are using other software. For me, I'm using the Class Notebook. Kids don't have to print it. They don't have to email it. They don't have to drop it off. Once they do it in here, it's time-stamped, it's in. They can access it from anything, anytime they can access the internet, they can go ahead and do it. In fact, they can even download the app and they can actually do things offline, and when they get online again, it'll sync up and submit that work that I can see from any device that I'm on as well. So it's very user-friendly when it comes to that, and very stable since it's a Microsoft Office product. So that's what I'll be doing there. All right, the next thing that I want to go over is communication. How am I going to get the information to the students and through you, which will be on a weekly basis, but definitely to the students. So how I'm going to reach the students, I'm going to have them when they come in the first day or two is sign up for a remind group, which is the phone text. I don't know their cell phone number. They just simply go ahead, log into that class, and I just simply say, hey, class, this is what we're doing. Or I can look up their name. I don't get their number, but I can go ahead and send individual messages if I need to. So I'm going to have them do the remind. I'm also going to have them develop a professional email address if they don't already have one, and send me an email from that address. It's going to be very important as they go forward, especially applying for colleges or work and so forth, that they have a professional email address, which may be different than what they're currently using here. So it's because perception is everything. So I want them to develop a professional one. And from all those email addresses from everybody there, I create email groups. And I blind carbon copy the group before each period and let them know what the Zoom session is for those people that are at home and remote learning that day, as well as, again, reminders for anything that's upcoming and due. So there'll be two ways I'll be communicating with the students outside of actual in-classroom communication there. Okay, so we're back here, and what we have behind me is the other side of the classroom, our main classroom. And I wanted to show you this a little bit real quick as I go about talking about what my expectations are for this upcoming semester and your students. As I work to prepare them for their college and career experience, I'm going to follow the same 5 R's that I've used since I was a retail manager managing OEM sales, worldwide OEM sales for an electronics company, managing specific OEM sales with Motorola. In the film industry, I used to sell to the post-production houses, setting up channel sales. These same 5 R's is what I use to manage my departments when I was in management out in the real world several years ago. And they're very, very simple. First of all, they have to be in the right place, which for students that are face-to-face, they've got to be here in the classroom, not in the edit bays or the studio or the control room. They have to be here in the classroom. For the people that are learning remotely, they have to be logged on. I have to be able to see their face from their shoulders up to their face. I prefer not to see just the tops of their heads or their ceiling fans and so forth. So we've got to get them used to framing themselves appropriately, lighting themselves appropriately, getting themselves in the habit for that. But they have to have their camera on and be logged in. If they don't have their camera on and they don't respond to my questions and, hey, are you there? Or, hey, can you answer me this? Or do you have an issue or whatever? And they don't respond to anything remotely, then I'm going to mark them absent. Because it's going to be, for me, it's the same thing as walking into my classroom and walking back out again. So I touched the floor, so I was here, but now I'm gone and I left. So it's going to be very important that they're in the right place. So they're either online, shoulders up where I can see their face, or in the classroom in their assigned seats. And because of contact tracing, we have to have assigned seats, unfortunately, still. They have to be here at the right time. So they got to be in the right place at the right time. I'm going to be posting a copy of the schedule, which I'll share with you here, as well as in the email. We're going to follow essentially the same schedule as we did last semester. Third period will be lunch, and I have e-lunch, so it's the last lunch. So if your kids want to snack while reading, so long as they don't interrupt, their mics are muted or they're quiet here in class and they pick up after themselves, I'm fine with that. Because my stomach growls too. I'm still a growing boy, albeit out as opposed to up. But we have e-lunch from there, and you'll see the schedule there. They've got to be in the right place at the right time with the right materials. And for me, what that means, everybody has to have something to write on and write with. I don't care what it is. It could be their favorite color crayon for all I care. But they have to have something to write on and write with. And I'd highly recommend that they get used to doing that as they go forward. I know in the film industry, typically their first jobs will be as a production assistant, and if they don't have something to write on and write with, chances are they will never get called back again. That's deemed as a necessary thing that they should do and come prepared to do. And there are some employers out there, even now, that if they don't go into an interview, if they have a face-to-face interview and they don't come in with something to write on and write with, they aren't hired. And so they should just get themselves used to bringing something to write on and write with. People in class that are in class here face-to-face, they should also have some sort of headphones that they can plug into the backs of the computers or the cameras if they use my camera, so they can hear what it is that they're editing or what it is that they're filming on that. So they should have those headsets as well. So they should be in the right place at the right time with the right materials ready to work. And for me, what that means is when the class period starts, whatever that is, in face-to-face here, when that second bell rings for the class to start, we should be looking on the board for a warm-up. And I'm not going to have a warm-up every day. It's actually few and far between that I do. But when that second bell rings, if I have a warm-up on the board, my expectation is that they're going to start working on it. Now with the remote learners, I'll go over everything with everybody once I get started with a class and get started and ready to go. So when they come on in, when that second bell rings, when that class starts, they should be ready to go. And I'll count everybody in when it's time to get started on that, but they should be ready to work at that point in time. So the right place, the right time, with the right materials, ready to work. And lastly, this is a two-parter, is with respect. With respect for others, and I don't put up with anybody calling names or bullying or anything like that here in my classroom. And certainly we don't do that here at Harrison either. And if somebody is being bullied, you got to let us know about it. But I'm certainly going to keep my eyes and ears open for it. I would expect that everybody, while you don't have to be best of friends, I would expect your professionalism to be able to work with other people, coordinate and communicate with others on your team, whoever they may be assigned with, both remotely and in class. And I do have projects where they combine the two to work together. So they're going to have to work together with others. But just generally treat people with the golden rule: do unto others as you would like to be treated. And so that's what my expectation is there. So the second part of that is respect for yourself. And what I mean by that is to not let the students associate their name with anything less than their very best. I'm not saying they've got to be perfect. It doesn't have to be an A, but their very best effort. Back in the day, because I'm old, but it used to be, it didn't matter what you knew. It only mattered who you knew in order to get you into places. Nowadays, it's not even who you know anymore. It's who knows you. And a lot of times these kids, and even us, we don't know who knows us. There's a lot of people out there on the look. In my advisory committee, there's a number of people in colleges and in the professional levels, both for broadcast as well as corporate video, that are watching these kids. And there's a lot of opportunity out there. And these kids don't even know who's being showcased and opportunities that are being set up for them now in high school. So it's very important that this is high school, this all counts. It all depends on what they say, how they say it, their social media presence, and who they hang out with. It's all being noticed. And so they want their name associated with only their very best. So I impress that upon them as well. So those are my 5 R's. Be in the right place at the right time with the right materials, ready to work with respect for yourself and others. Okay, so here we are in our control room, our air-conditioned control room. This is kept at a perfect, for me, 67 degrees, so that all of our computer equipment here doesn't overheat as it goes on. So some of the key goals and skills that I'd like your students to work on, and these were pointed out by the actual students from last semester and where they struggled and what they thought they would want to make sure that they could fix it. This is where they would go ahead and fix it. And I talk to them about this all the time, but sometimes you just have to learn the hard way and go through things in order to learn it. So number one, you should know, and the students should know, and I tell them this, that the class is an easy A. All you have to do is do the work. But it truly is, it can be and should be an easy A. if they do the work. But there's two things that they really do need to develop in order to make that happen. One is time management, and the other is communication or self-advocacy. The time management portion, that's a killer. Because the way I run my class, it's kind of like a college class. And I spend the beginning part of each class, and I go through a little bit of a lecture or an instruction and so forth, or demonstration of things. And then I refer back to the chart that we had that I was just at the very beginning of class from our class notebook, the chart of the things that are due and when they're due. So I'll give the lesson, I assign the project, and I go over it with them, and I tell them when it's due. And then I say, okay, now I'm giving you time to do that, because I would prefer them to do that during my class and not have any homework. I know, especially here at Harrison, that the academic load is very heavy, and a lot of the students that are here are in AP classes or honor classes. And that's a heavy load. There's a lot of work to do. So I try to give them as much time as I can in my classes to do my work and get it done and over with and be done with it. But a lot of students seem to feel that they're having a tough day, or they've got they just need to breathe just during the day. And I get that. I totally understand that. So I let them go. I mean, it's just, they can do it. In the class here, they can go ahead and start to work on stuff. It's their time. They can choose to work on it or not. And if they choose not to work on it, that's a choice, and it's their choice. It may not be the best choice, but it's their choice. So the earlier that they can get started on things, and if they spend a little bit of time every day doing the work, they'll be done in plenty of time, and then they can use whatever extra time to do whatever. They could use it to relax, they can use it to work on other projects and what have you. But the time management thing is key. The next thing is self-advocacy, communication, and this is a hard one. Kids aren't used to talking to adults. They may be used to talking to you within the family side of things, either explaining themselves or asking to use the car or whatever. But going outside and talking to adults, either for a job or in school and so forth, especially if they're struggling, they have to, it's a huge, I guess, hit on their pride. And I totally understand that. I get that. However, if they don't understand, if they find themselves swamped, if they can't figure out how to get started or how to get things to work, they need to go to the teacher and find out how to go about doing that. Ask for help. And I would really prefer if the students came to me. That's a skill that they're going to need to learn. And if you've gone to college, you know the professors in college don't go chasing after the students to make sure they're okay. They give their little lecture, they have the grad students assign everything, and then they're gone. They have the office hours, which I have on Wednesdays after 11, and I'll stay after school if need be. I'm here fairly early in the morning that I can help them out. I have the free time during class that they can say, hey, Mr. Phelps, can you give me a hand with this or whatever? And sometimes if it needs be, I can certainly work with them in terms of the requirements of the project. But it's so important that they learn to advocate for themselves, that they reach out and say, listen, I'm struggling with this. Is there anything that I can do? What can I do here? And I'm happy to help them out, but please encourage them to come to me. I would much prefer to hear from them than to hear from you. But even if they're at home remote, they need to email me, they need to call me, they need to use the Remind text app with me. And I've had students that do that. When they do that, I can help them. Okay? So if you could work with me on that, I'd really appreciate it. That would be really beneficial. So next thing, extra credit and work opportunities. So I tell your students all the time, usually around 3 weeks in, please do not go to your teachers the last week before grades are going to be posted or 6 weeks in or whatever and say, hey, you know, I've got a 78, I really like an 80 or whatever. Do you have any extra credit I can do? Because all us teachers here is, hey, I've chosen not to do any of the work I was supposed to do, and now I'm behind the 8 ball, so can you do some extra work for me so that I can get a better grade? And I can promise you that that's pretty much the perception that teachers have when students come at the last minute asking for that. What I'd rather have them do is come halfway through and say, hey, you know, is there a better way to understand this stuff? And then it's my choice to give extra credit. And in our case, because it's a broadcast video production program, there's a number of times that we get to go on out and do live streaming of events, particularly sporting events. So we go on out and we do a live stream of the event. And so in those opportunities, I usually try to bring some students on board to help me out with that live opportunity. They're 6 feet apart. We all have to wear masks. All the equipment is sanitized before and after and so forth. But it's a great opportunity to earn some extra credit. I also, for my upper level students, we do a lot of work with nonprofits. An upper level student, she's editing podcasts and producing podcasts for the American Lung Association from up in New York. And so she's earning extra credit for that. But and I've got another student that is, if you've watched any of the Fox 5 News on Friday night for the Friday Night Football recap, any of the Harrison football highlights was shot by a junior student of mine who went out and filmed, edited, and submitted to Fox 5 for those highlights. So she got extra credit in addition to getting onto the field for free and developing her skills because she wants to be a sports reporter. And both those kids now have great networks that they can reach out to and get advice and serve as references and for recommendations and so forth out in the real world. So it's a great opportunity for that. And I provide extra credit opportunity there. I also, on the side, have a small event video production company called Phelps Productions, LLC. Nowadays, I primarily focus on filming sports for recruiting purposes for college and professional recruiting. I do a lot of work with Skillshow, which is the filming arm for Perfect Games, baseball and softball, and they provide a lot of the scouting reports for colleges and professional baseball. We do a lot of work with MLB Network as well. Setting up for the future drafts. And then we also do a lot of work with ESPN for their 300 series, which is high school football combines. So I usually travel on the weekends around the Southeast filming that. But if they have anything local here in the Atlanta area, I like to hire some of my best students. I pay pretty good, $15 to $20 an hour. Now the kids will work for it, I can promise you that. They'll work pretty hard for it, but it gives them real world experience and an opportunity to learn that the skills that they learn here in my class, they can turn into money. It doesn't have to be a career, but they can earn some pretty good money from it. So when those come on up, I usually like to look for my best students. And this year I'm going to be looking to, hopefully, if I can get some athletes out there, run some I guess auditions, if you will, just to make sure I'm putting students in the correct spots and in a position to succeed when they get out there. So I offer that as well. So there's an opportunity for the extra credit and for money on there. Lastly, guys, I couldn't do this on my own here. There's no way I could do this all by myself and have this work. I rely a lot on you. I rely a lot on my students to help out, have them come up with some ideas. But even more importantly, I have an advisory committee that I put together and invite people to. And it fluctuates depending on schedule and availability and so forth. But I have people, representatives from the local colleges such as UGA, KSU, Kennesaw State University, Chattahoochee Tech. Sometimes they even get Georgia State involved with that as well. I have some of our teachers here, journalism teacher for our broadcast program. They have to learn how to write and so forth, and the better they get at that, that works out well there. I also have guidance counselors who are very good in terms of helping me guide what's going on in the colleges and who's looking for what and so forth, so that I can develop my program and provide opportunities with that. I've got people from the broadcast industry. I've got representatives from WSB TV, Turner Sports, Georgia Public Broadcasting. I also have former broadcast people who are now doing corporate videos out there who come in and talk and work with and critique students, but they've also hired my students for a pretty good wage as well. The key thing, though, for all these advisory committee members they're all in it for the students, and they're all here to help those students succeed. And back when I was talking about respect for yourself and associating your name with your very best, these are the people that get first glimpses at the students and can guide them and guide me in terms of what's actually happening in the industry today that the colleges and the workforce are looking for, and where our students need to get better at to have them stand out there. So, but that's about it for this one. And like I say, in the future, they're going to be much shorter than this. We're just going to deal with very specific times and dates and so forth. Please stay tuned. I'll come up with news. A lot of people said they were interested in a virtual open house, if you will, so we get a little bit more in depth. I'm going to use that as a project for my second level students and third level students to create a tour, a virtual tour of the program and the facilities here. Show that. We'll turn that into a very short video and get some student input on that, and then host a live session where you can ask questions. I can share with you some of the things that we're doing, some of the projects that are coming up and so forth, and give you an opportunity to kind of join in and ask questions and get more comfortable with it. Other than that, thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate your support and looking forward to an outstanding semester. Like I say, I love what I do, and I'm here to have fun, so I'm excited to get this thing going again. Take care and go Bills. Those of you that don't know, I come from Buffalo, so I'm a diehard Bills fan and a diehard Sabres fan. Hopefully they'll get the hockey season started after in the next couple of weeks or so, as well as the baseball with the Bisons, AAA affiliate for the Blue Jays. So, but anyway, so there we go. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.